Good afternoon. My name is Kenneth. I was told there was a lot of interest in seeing the show through the eyes of a rural Nebraskan sheriff. There's a couple things that I would like to first talk about, more of an introduction to how this actually came about. Before I start that though, I would like to thank Peru State College. Their funding and their support made this exhibition possible. I doubt that it could have gone through without their help. I also want to thank Max Cottle. He was the individual who obtained the negatives at an estate sale. For more information about that, you can email me or you can get a hold of either Max, the school, or myself, and we can fill you in more on that. When it was first brought to my attention by Max that he had, I think, somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 negatives, when Max showed me some of the negatives, I immediately thought that it would be a great exhibition to show my students and the people in the area what the 50s were actually like. So when I was choosing photos for this exhibition, what I tried to do is pull out some of the good ones. People either enjoying themselves or that point to what the family life was about. But I also wanted to show the average Nebraskan of that time. You'll see in some of these photos, it's just people, doing what they need to do. And in the other extreme, I've included photographs that show death. I think death is part of life, and I think too many times we want to kind of skip over that because we all know that death happens, but we don't necessarily pay attention to how it happens or the people that it actually happens to. There were two guidelines that were followed. First, nobody could be recognized in the photo. In some situations, I went in and put black boxes over their faces so that you could not see their faces. And in other situations, I basically removed the photograph from the exhibition. The reason for it is because this exhibition isn't about death. It isn't about happiness either. It's about how people lived their lives in rural Nebraska 70 plus years ago. I hope you enjoy the exhibition. I'm going to walk through and I'll do a voiceover so that you can hear about the individual ones. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the exhibition.
As you walk in the gallery, the first thing you will see are some smaller photographs. Generally, I considered these to be more of the sheriff's family, but there is no information specifically on who these people are. I thought this one was unique because of the fully stocked shelves. This is called drowning. If you look, you can see in the lower right corner, there is a body that is floating. This image is of a deputy. I believe it's a deputy. He's wearing a uniform and he's opening a door to a fire that had gutted a house. I thought that this was interesting because he looks so much like somebody that we could see today. Now, in the exhibition, there are 3 large prints. These prints were scanned at a very high resolution and then printed on canvas. Once they were printed, they had to be put together using double-sided tape and then framed for display. This is the second smallest one. This one is roughly 8 feet high by 7 feet wide. The information behind this is unclear. We do know that it is a couple who own a Texaco station. Where that Texaco station was, or if it is even still around, is unclear. But I thought that this was a very nice photo. The next photo was a scan of a photograph, a very small photograph. The sheriff in this photo is from Sarpy County. You'll see at least one other piece of work that is displayed that talks about bombings and dynamiting in the area. As we move to the next one, this is another one that's just I thought it was interesting how the cars and the car carrier and how they looked. Nearly everyone has a guess on what's going on. First of all, the question is why did the sheriff take this photo? Was the person in distress? Did they just fall asleep? Why are they holding a flashlight? Nothing really makes sense about this, and I thought that it was unique for that reason. There doesn't appear to be any trauma. It doesn't appear that there's anything really negative going on. It's just that a person appears to have fallen asleep, and the sheriff took the photo of him. This is another photo of people just being people. It's obvious that this car was in an accident, and probably the first thing that they did is they lit up a cigarette to try to calm down, to try to relax. Now this was the largest of all of the prints. It is approximately 12 feet wide by 9 feet high. I'm not sure it shows up in the video as well as it does in real life, but it was an accident that had happened during winter when there was snow on the ground, and it appears the vehicles slid and hit one another. Although you can't see it, in the back of the Jeep there are packages. So our assumption is that this was a letter carrier or mailman, and he was doing his rounds and somehow got into an accident. Here's another photo of just people being people. The actual photo was from a collection of an automobile accident at a car dealership. There didn't appear to be that much going on, but there were several photos from different angles that showed the accident. I thought it was unique because if you had lived in Plattsmouth roughly in the 1950s, early 1960s, you may remember this car dealership. The photo that you're looking at right now is a state trooper. Nobody is sure of his name, but this was one that had to be cropped because of the nature of the photograph. It is actually one of somebody that had shot themselves. This photo was another one that had to be modified. The original that I was going to be putting in this exhibition showed the aftermath of this accident. The truck with the kind of catchy name Nuts to You from Guys was in an accident. I believe he hit someone head on and there was a death involved. It was fairly easy to track down what had happened. I decided that I would not show the death aspect of it. I tended to think that the truck and the scene in general was enough of interest than to just put somebody who had suffered. Now, as I mentioned before, 1960, it may have been going on for a while, but there was a situation where there was bombings going on in Iowa and in Nebraska. I'm not sure what the situation was, but it has been speculated that there was a possibility that there was building going on and people were upset. Since they said dynamiting, I tend to think that it was something like the equipment. The one that the sheriff is from Sarpy County is walking across. At that point, Iowa and Nebraska kind of talked to each other, trying to figure out if it was the same individual that was causing it. And this was the letter, a result of that. At one point, there was a mudslide that covered the tracks. Now, I did speak to somebody who, I wouldn't say that they were old enough to remember them specifically, but she had mentioned that it was very common for this to happen. That when it rained, the mud would come down and cover the tracks. What what made me want to put this in the exhibition was the fact that there is no really heavy equipment. It's just people working with shovels. And I thought that that was unique, different from, say, what we would see nowadays. But I thought that other people might enjoy the labor involved. The time frame of this negative is unclear. We do know that this pickup truck got hit by a train. Now, I was told that this is not the train that hit the truck, that this was a second train that came by and stopped. It's harder to see in the video, but if you were seeing it up close, you would see chains connected to the bumper. You would also see that there is an individual that is partially outside of the pickup truck. The reason that this image is in the exhibition is because there was an individual that used this rope to hang himself. The photograph of that individual is included in the exhibition, but I won't be including it in this video. There was something that was so sad about looking at this rope. When that individual decided to take his own life, and to me that was so sad that, you know, that they had reached the limit. The reason why I say it that way is because when you look at the rope, it looks like didn't try to make it secure, didn't try to do anything. All he wanted to do was to end his life. And then the very last large print is one that I think is almost comical in a way. First of all, I don't know for sure what had happened. The best guess that I can come up with is that the vehicle ran over a fire hydrant. After the police were called, a tow truck driver showed up, and it's my guess that the person trying to dig the vehicle out is the tow truck driver. What made this kind of funny to me was the amount of people that are watching. At one time I counted, I believe, 27 people in the background watching this poor man working, doing his job. And to top it off, not only is he the center of attention, but then the sheriff is taking a photograph of him. I kind of felt sorry for him, but he doesn't seem to be in distress or anything, so maybe he enjoyed the attention. So that's it. That is the exhibition. Now I have omitted some of the more graphic images. I think there was 3 that I left out. I consider this to be a mature audience exhibition. And since it will be uploaded on social media, I didn't want to include items that could get it flagged as being inappropriate for children. Thank you so much for showing interest in the exhibition. And if you are interested in coming to the show, it will be open until November 30th, 2022. I am looking for other venues to show the exhibition, so it may be open somewhere around the area. If you'd like more information about any of the negatives or would like to contact me to ask questions, please feel free to do so. I'll put my email address up in the end credits. Thank you again.